They laughed at him, not loudly at first, not openly, but in the quiet ways that hurt the most. The side glances, the half smiles, the conversations that stopped when he walked in. He felt it everywhere, in classrooms where teachers expected nothing, in rooms where opinions were formed before he ever spoke, in places where effort was ignored and background decided worth. He wasn't mocked because he was loud. He was mocked because he was different. He didn't fit the picture of success people had in their minds. No confidence, no money. Money. No powerful connections, no impressive history, just ambition that made others uncomfortable. They laughed because it was easier than believing someone like him could rise. They laughed because his dreams exposed their limits. They laughed because doubting him protected their excuses. And for a while, their laughter worked. There were nights he questioned himself, moments he wondered if silence would be safer than trying, times when shrinking felt easier than standing out. But deep inside, something refused to surrender. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't ego. It was awareness. Awareness that staying small would hurt more than failing big. So while they laughed, he listened. Not to their words, but to their tone, because tone reveals fear. And he realized something powerful. People don't laugh at weakness. They laugh at potential they don't understand. That realization changed how he moved. He stopped explaining himself. He stopped defending his goals. He stopped reacting. Reaction gives power. Silence builds strength. He redirected his energy inward. While they wasted time judging, he invested time learning. While they joked, he practiced. While they assumed, he prepared. Nothing flashy happened. No sudden success. No dramatic moment. Just quiet work. And quiet work is dangerous because it builds unseen momentum. He learned discipline before he learned confidence. He learned consistency before he learned results. He learned patience before he learned recognition. Most people want applause before effort. He chose effort without applause, and that choice separated him. They still laughed, but it started sounding different. Less confident, more curious. Curious. Because nothing confuses people more than someone who keeps moving forward without approval. He became comfortable being misunderstood. Comfortable being underestimated. Comfortable being alone in his vision. He wasn't chasing attention. He was chasing alignment. Alignment between who he said he wanted to be and how he acted daily. Slowly, his habits changed. Then his thinking changed. Then his standards changed. He stopped tolerating laziness. He stopped entertaining doubt. He stopped feeding fear. He understood that laughter doesn't stop progress. Discipline does the opposite, and discipline, when repeated daily, compounds quietly. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't ego. This was construction. He was building something while they were busy watching, and they didn't realize it yet, but their laughter was on a deadline. As time passed, the laughter didn't stop. It just moved farther away. Not because they believed in him, but because he stopped needing them to. The journey got heavier. Responsibility increased. Pressure intensified. Doubt became quieter but more dangerous, because now it came from inside and side. There were days when progress felt invisible. Weeks when effort produced nothing noticeable. Months where quitting felt logical. No one talks about this stage. The stage where you're no longer weak enough to get sympathy but not strong enough to get respect. This is where most people disappear. Not because they can't succeed, but because they can't endure invisibility. He endured it. While others chased validation, he chased standards. While others waited for motivation, he relied on structure. While others complained about unfairness, he adapted. He understood something most never do. Life doesn't reward potential. It rewards persistence. So he stopped asking, "Is this fair?" and started asking, "Oh, what's required?" That question changed everything. He woke up earlier. He cut distractions ruthlessly. He learned when others slept. He trained when others rested. No audience, no encouragement, no guarantees, just a promise to himself. And promises to yourself are the hardest to keep, because no one punishes you when you break them. But he didn't break it. He kept showing up on days that felt pointless. He kept going when excitement faded. He kept moving when confidence was low. That's when strength formed. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that doesn't announce itself. The kind that doesn't argue. The kind that doesn't need approval. He learned to sit with discomfort. Discomfort of being behind. Discomfort of being doubted. Discomfort of being alone in his discipline. And slowly his mindset shifted again. He stopped comparing timelines. He stopped explaining delays. He stopped seeking shortcuts. He accepted reality fully. And acceptance isn't weakness, it's clarity. Clarity removes emotion from decisions. He stopped asking for permission to grow, stopped waiting for someone to notice, stopped hoping someone would understand. He understood something brutal but freeing. No one is coming. And that truth either breaks you or builds you. It built him. Because when you accept that no one is coming, you become responsible for everything. Your growth, your focus, your failure, your success. Responsibility made him dangerous because excuses died the moment responsibility arrived. And somewhere along the way, people noticed. Not his words, not his background, his consistency. They noticed because he was still standing when others had rotated excuses. They noticed because his work spoke while others kept explaining. The laughter didn't disappear, but it softened. And soft laughter is usually fear wearing a smile. They sensed something shifting. They couldn't explain it, but they felt it. He was no longer chasing success. He was becoming inevitable. By the time people truly noticed him, he was already someone else. Not louder, not flashier, just solid. This is the phase nobody warns you about. When progress accelerates but peace disappears because growth attracts pressure. The expectations rise, the stakes increase, and suddenly failure feels expensive. He was no longer fighting mockery. He was fighting maintenance, maintaining discipline. Maintaining focus, maintaining belief when results finally arrived. Because success doesn't remove fear, it replaces it. Before fear said, "What if I fail?" Now it whispered, "What if I lose this?" And that fear is sharper. He felt eyes on him. The same people who laughed now watched quietly. Not cheering, not supporting, evaluating, waiting to see if he would fall. And for the first time, he felt pressure not to prove himself, but to protect his identity. That's dangerous territory because pressure can make you forget why you started. So he slowed down, not in action, in ego. He remembered the nights no one saw, the sacrifices no one clapped for, the loneliness that trained him. And he realized something critical. He didn't build this to impress people. He built this to escape limitation. So he stopped performing, stopped flexing progress, stopped explaining growth. Wow. Stopped feeding curiosity. He returned to silence, but this silence was different. It wasn't empty. It was controlled. He worked while others speculated. He refined while others reacted. He focused while others talked. And that's when the real separation happened. Because when people can't predict you, they can't control the narrative. They didn't know his next move. They couldn't measure his discipline. They couldn't access his mindset. That scared them because uncertainty threatens comfort. Meanwhile, his confidence wasn't emotional anymore. It was structural, built on habits, built on systems, built on repeated proof. Not hype, not motivation. Proof. He trusted himself because he had evidence. Evidence that he could endure boredom. Evidence that he could survive doubt, evidence that he could outlast resistance. And when setbacks came, because they always do, he didn't panic. He adjusted. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs react emotionally. Professionals respond strategically. He became strategic. Every loss became data. Every delay became feedback. Every obstacle became training. And slowly the dynamic flipped. People stopped asking questions, stopped offering advice, stopped underestimating, not because they understood him, but because they couldn't read him. And unreadable people are powerful. They realized something uncomfortable. He didn't need their approval anymore. And when someone doesn't need approval, they can't be controlled. That's when silence changed sides. The same mouths that once laughed now stayed shut. The same eyes that once dismissed now followed carefully, not with admiration, with caution, because deep down they knew he was no longer trying to prove them wrong. He had moved beyond them completely. And when that happens, success stops being loud. It becomes inevitable. Silence didn't arrive suddenly. It arrived slowly. One moment at a time, one result at a time, one undeniable win after another. By the time people realized what had happened, it was already too late to pretend they always believed, because belief leaves evidence, and they had none. He didn't announce his success. He didn't remind them of their laughter. He didn't ask for recognition. He simply stood where they never imagined he would, calm, grounded, unshakable. The same rooms that once dismissed him now listened differently when he spoke. The same voices that doubted him now chose their words carefully. Not because he demanded respect, Because respect was no longer optional. That's the power of consistency. Not overnight motivation, not viral confidence, but years of doing the work when nobody cared. He didn't change who he was. Oh, he refined it. He didn't become louder. He became undeniable. And here's the truth most people never accept. The world doesn't silence itself for potential. It silences itself for results. Results don't argue. Results don't explain. Results don't seek permission. They arrive. And when they do, excuses disappear, criticism fades, mockery evaporates. What remains is silence. Heavy silence. The kind that forces people to reflect on themselves. They remember the jokes they made, the chances they didn't take, the effort they avoided. And suddenly your success becomes their mirror. That's why silence feels uncomfortable to them, but to him, silence felt peaceful because he no longer needed noise to confirm his worth. He had proof that discipline works, proof that mindset compounds, proof that self-belief outlasts doubt. And if you're listening to this right now, you need to understand something. If they're laughing at you today, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're early. If they don't understand your vision, it's because it wasn't built for their eyes. If you feel alone in your effort, it's because growth is private before it's public. Don't rush the silence. Earn it. Let your work speak. Let your discipline talk. Let your results finish the conversation. Because one day, the same people who doubted you will have nothing left to say. And that silence will be your loudest victory. This is not just his story. It's a warning to never underestimate quiet discipline, to never mock unseen effort, to never laugh at someone who refuses to quit. Because today they're laughing. Tomorrow, they'll be silent. They'll be silent. If this story hits something inside you, you already know why you're here. This channel is for minds that don't break, for people who build in silence, for those who choose discipline over applause. Welcome to Unbreakable Minds. Subscribe and keep building silently. Collision.